All right, hey everyone, welcome to another episode of O365A, and we're still here at Ignite. And the topic of our session right now is, what is the pulse of Ignite? We've been here for a week. What are we've heard all the big announcements, and how are we feeling about the entire week? So, Michael.
Yeah, so to kick it off, some of the big announcements this week were some of the functionality that has been previewed for a while is going into GA. So things like black background blur, which was, kind of that BBC Dad thing where the kid runs in the background, that would be able to be blurred out in the background. So you can have your home office, or maybe if you're in, pods or whatever in an open area, so that you can block out the background. Also, if you have confidential information in the government side, you have the ability to use that feature. Another one was the meetings recordings. So now that's using Stream. That's gone GA as well. So you can record your meeting. It can actually be put into the team. You can actually download that if you want to consume after. But that's that cloud recording where, in Skype for Business was the client side, and then you had to find the file and put it somewhere to distribute it.
And so just for that one, you have to be enterprise licensed for that, for Stream, right?
Yeah, that's correct. And then we actually use cloud recording for most of our podcasts.
That's right.
The other thing is mobile companion. So this was the ability that if you join a meeting, your mobile client will actually say, hey, do you want this device to join as a companion? And you can actually do some meeting controls like slide, advance, and stuff like that from the mobile device. The other one is the VTC, so the video interop. For maybe some legacy video room systems and stuff. So Polycom has gone GA. Blue Jeans and PEXIP are going GA in October, so pretty shortly after. So that's going to open up some doors for some more equipment to get into the Teams ecosystem. The other one was around that healthcare, so image annotation. So you can now take a picture from your phone, add some notes, and then send that off. And then the big one, I think, was kind of around the RBAC, so team admin roles. So now there's different sections or different roles to manage your teams from an administration point of view.
And just on that one, I heard there's like 20 different roles.
Yeah, there's quite a bit, and you can do it from PowerShell and from the new admin center.
That's great.
And then the other one is the Microsoft Search, and we'll talk about that probably a little bit later, but that's kind of flowing across all their products, but it's going to also be part of Teams. And then I think maybe one of the announcements that kind of slipped under the eye was that Teams is going to be part of the Office 365 Pro Plus suite to be deployed. So now when you install Office Pro Plus, Office 365 Pro Plus, the Teams client will actually get installed as well. But the patching mechanism is not following through the same Office 365 mechanisms. It's more like OneDrive. So it'll patch, app-based, and those updates will be a little bit more transparent and available in the new admin centers going forward. So I'm quite interested to see that going forward. I think that's going to help the upgrade to Teams.
For sure. In terms of what's coming, lots of new, lots of new things announced there. So first on the list, live events. So basically the ability to host meetings for 10,000 users or more, formerly known as a Skype meeting broadcast. So that's going to be coming real soon. In fact, you're seeing this technology here at Ignite.
Yeah,
all the sessions are being recorded, and you see the transcription happening. That's exactly what you're going to be getting, the capability to do. Something Satya talked about in his keynote was the first-line worker experience. So there's 2.5 billion first-line workers in the world, and you're going to be seeing features like home and shift features come in, where you can clock in and out of your shift if you're a worker, pick up shifts, plan shifts. You can't make a shift right from your mobile. You'll be able to do all this stuff, which is really, really powerful. So that's going to be something really cool to see. Priority messaging in Teams. So right now, when you log in, you might miss some key messages. So now priority messaging will allow stuff that's flagged for you as important to bubble up, so you'll be able to not miss those messages when you sign in.
I want to take all my messages with priority, so it just hammers everyone every minute.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. So we'll see how that works out. But yeah, screen sharing from a private chat. So now when you're in a one-on-one chat, you can start to screen share. So that's like a real welcome feature for a lot of users. Yammer tab integration is going to be coming. Data loss prevention is on its way. a new file experience. So ability to view over 300 different file types is going to be rolled out to teams. Ability to create teams from Office 365 groups. So that's something I know a lot of businesses and organizations have been asking for. And lastly, the ability to create teams with a template. I know some of the vendors have this capability, but teams will natively have the ability to just, you've created a team structure and you want to copy that several times over. You'll be able to do that now coming up.
And I think that's also controlling the tabs that are displayed as well.
Correct.
And
Yeah. So
the apps that are installed.
The whole layout. So I mean, that I can see that being really powerful for orgs that want to have a common structure created across their
and
teams.
be part of the corporate strategy and corporate policies, right, and adhere to them, right?
Standard, yeah.
All right, yeah, and then the next big thing that I've seen is obviously, a few months ago we talked about Microsoft 365 and how it's a brand new SKU for businesses and enterprises. So really it was just taking a lot of the E3, E5 licenses in addition to the enterprise mobility and the security add-ons and sort of bundling them into one. And it really now is not just a SKU anymore. You're actually starting to see the convergence of all these different Office and Azure and Windows services being converged into the Microsoft 365 umbrella, right? So being able to have like new functionality called autopilot, where you can have user-driven computers registered to Azure AD and all the policies applied to them, and then all the applications and so on and so forth pushed down to them, or even a zero-touch capabilities by having the vendor of choice that you're purchasing your Microsoft Windows 10 devices from register those devices in Azure, so that when the device comes online, it actually looks to autopilot and sees if it has a device ID in there.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and then the Azure Information Protection, which now is being called Microsoft Information Protection, is really, really powerful in helping with labeling and compliance capabilities, ability to integrate the rights management into it automatically, so that if you're working within a document in itself and you have certain keywords, it'll actually ask you if you want to change the label and the sensitivity of the document or the email to that particular to a particular level, and then provide the ability for external people, whether to view the mail or documentation and collaborate on that. So I think that's a pretty huge announcement that Microsoft had while we were here.
Yeah, and I would agree, and I think one of the biggest takeaways I've had from Ignite is, as you mentioned, Habib, we covered the Microsoft 365 SKU on a previous podcast. I thought it was sort of more a SKU which bundled the endpoint, the Windows device, with Office 365 and some of the Enterprise Mobility Suite security features. But what's really exciting is Microsoft's doing more than just a bundle SKU. They're actually aligning their products so they all work together in the cloud. And when you combine that with the device capabilities, you get sort of a one-stop shop for manageability and to get provisioned and configured and up and running. And I think it's pretty exciting, like the information protection feature set you mentioned. So I go into security and compliance in Office 365. I'll label, classify my data, and then I can act on that across all the workloads, including Teams, which is one of the announcements. The data loss prevention feature set will apply to Teams too. So for compliance and security and even privacy, that's fantastic.
Yeah, right, because there's a significant amount of data that's being inside Teams in itself, right? So depending on the team, it may be a lot more sensitive than the other ones, right? So that's the private and public differentiality, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And there's that search as well, right?
Yeah. So the other big announcement from a Microsoft 365 perspective was the ability to, they're improving their search capabilities so that it will go right across all the workloads. And this will light up from a user perspective in any of the applications like Word, Excel, Outlook.
The start menu in Windows.
The start menu in Windows. When you log into office.com, you'll see the search text box right there, and that'll allow end users to search right across all their Office 365 workloads. I'm a power user, I guess. You guys are too. Finding data is harder and harder just because there's more of it. So to be able to consume all these wonderful collaboration services and just search across all of them from an end user perspective is fantastic. And a couple other big announcements if you step outside of the Microsoft Teams and communication silo. They made a pretty significant set of announcements around moving to a passwordless world. So now with Microsoft Authenticator, you'll be able to, with one click, achieve the password and second factor authentication. So I think for end users, the whole story just gets better and better. And of course, Teams is part of that, and it just makes communicating and collaborating that much easier.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, what are your thoughts? Maybe, Michael, like, how's the week been for you, and sort of where do you see the sort of the vision?
Yeah, so we all had some sessions manning the Microsoft Teams booth, and it was interesting to see the difference from this year to 2017. We were in the booth as well last year, and it was interesting because last year we were doing demos of Teams all the time. Everyone was like, "What is this new thing called Teams? Let me see what this means." And then this year, most of the customer conversations I've had is like, I have this scenario. What's the best path to get to Teams? So it's not, Microsoft's done an amazing job communicating the Teams path and the future of intelligent communications, and then the fact that customers aren't asking what is Teams this year, but they're asking how do I get to Teams. That's a pretty big change for over
for 1
years
year.
span.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. Yeah,
Curtis, your thoughts?
Or Curtis, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I'm just amazed at how much progress has been made in a year, and not just on the Microsoft side, but I think we were all in the same boat when Teams hit, and it was sort of front and center, and it was brand new, and we all love Skype for Business.
Yep.
I still do, but the big thing I've discovered personally, and I'm seeing it now in customers transitioning, is there's that change of end user workflow of being a contact center workflow.
Yeah.
So I have my contacts and I initiate communication, where Teams,
It's like process and
it's you don't initiate what you want to do based on a contact. You initiate what you're going to do based on what you need to do.
Right.
And I actually really like it. And I'm starting to see other people get that. And I think once you get that, there's maybe a better way to work. That transition from Teams to Skype for Business, or from Skype for Business to Teams, gets a little easier. And I'm just amazed at how quick that is starting to happen.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for me, it's been an incredible week. It's been very engaging. Lots of conversations with customers in the booth.
What's your first Ignite?
Yeah, and my first Ignite as an MVP, and first Ignite ever, actually. So
have you had any beer here? Do you know?
Yeah, just maybe one or two. So yeah, it's been fantastic from that perspective, and really engaging conversations, and really happy to connect with other MVPs from across the world, other exhibitors and attendees. So just a fantastic experience all around. And just a big shout out to our community lead, Lori Potmeyer, for making it like a fantastic
totally agree.
Ignite for all of us, and it's been top notch.
You're the best, Lori. One thing for me is what Michael said, how much has changed within 1 year, right? So you and I worked the Teams booth last year.
during the announcement.
During the announcement, so we didn't actually hear the announcement, but the 500 people came to our booth, heard it. And so it was really interesting and a lot of really good conversations about like is Skype becoming Teams and so on and so forth. It said, we explained it like it's not happening today. It's obviously a transition period that's going to happen, and it's based on you as the customer, what you want to do. But what I also want to touch on was from a device perspective, all the new initiatives that all the different vendors have done to modify their existing and created new form factors and devices to support Microsoft Teams, right? So I think it's really cool to see how quickly within 1 year, a lot of really neat innovation that's been going on, and some of them that you can actually leverage your existing purchases, right? So that's really huge for customers going from Skype for Business, whether it's on premises or on online, to be able to leverage their existing purchases to go to Microsoft Teams, right? So it feels like it's a lot easier story for them to get to that place, right? And then in addition, I don't know if you guys walked around like the expo and stuff like that. I've seen a lot of really cool software applications that sort of help Office 365 and Azure and stuff like that as a whole. So, I mean, it's not just from a Microsoft perspective. There's additional software platforms that can sort of bolt on to help drive user adoption or administrative capabilities for the whole Microsoft Cloud ecosystem.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
Good stuff. All right. Well, any closing thoughts?
No, it's an excellent journey that we're on, and it's nice to see the progression.
Yeah, and happy to be here with you guys. It's been a great week, and hopefully we'll be able to continue along, and then we'll also obviously continue along with our podcast and get some great new sessions on some topics. If you guys have any things that you want to hear us talk about, by all means tweet us, and we'll happy to add that to the agenda. So
Yeah, for sure.
thanks everybody for joining in, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Thanks a lot. See ya.